In regards to bailouts, if you do get into office, would you vote against them, and why?
I don't think the government should have any role in free markets. America is a free market society. This country was built on free markets and entrepreneurship. And people make wild sums of money when they win, and people go broke when they lose. But they know the game when they get into it. The government cannot be in the game of picking winners and losers. And the only way to let the free markets work is to keep the government out of the way. So when you get the government putting their mitts and trying to get markets to operate in the way that they want them to, the whole system gets messed up. And it is the reason why we're where we're at today. Our economy is in the tank, in large part because the federal government, they're spending, they're over-regulation, and they're trying to control markets that they cannot control. So I believe we've got to stop bailouts, we've got to stop bailing out companies and industries and get government out of the way, let the free markets work. Sometimes people get hurt, but that's the way America is. Sometimes people become wildly successful too, and I want to make it easier for that to happen for people.
Thank you. Thank you. Which violations of our Bill of Rights that you see are of most importance to you and your family, perhaps personally? What are you most perhaps passionate about in terms of protecting? We understand all of them are important. Maybe if you could highlight. And how would you address these areas if elected?
So that question, we could go on for 30 minutes.
Yes, sure. Absolutely.
Because our individual liberties are infringed on in just about every single thing we do. All the way down to red light cameras, okay? So whether we're talking about religious freedoms and Obama trying to ram down our throats his views about mandates, it's wrong. Whether we want to talk about the right to keep and bear arms and anti-carry laws that the left tries to put through and infringes on my right to keep and bear arms. The list is great. Whether you want to talk about taxes. And taxes, you could say, we are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, the taxation that we have in this country inhibits life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's out of control. And the government is out of control with its intrusive nature in our lives at almost every level. We could find something when we walk out this door where the government is trying to control our lives. We've got to get government out of the way.
Thank you. What are your feelings about Agenda 21, and if in office, what would you do to fight it?
So Agenda 21 comes out of the United Nations. I say anything that comes out of the United Nations we need to throw in the trash. We don't need anyone or any other entity telling the United States or any local or county municipality or state agency how to do their business. I would do everything in my power to fight against Agenda 21 and to keep it off of any American law books, whether it's from the federal level all the way down to city government.
Thank you. What do you think about the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and what will your stance be? What is your stance in regards to it, and what would your stance be if you were to be elected into office?
We need to do everything we can to overthrow and overturn Obamacare, is what you're talking about. Obamacare is right up there at the top of the list of infringements on our individual liberties. You cannot mandate people to have insurance. And again, there may be parts of that healthcare law that was well-intentioned, but it made a mess of our American system. It made a complete mess of it. The whole thing needs to be scrapped. And again, the way we solve healthcare is by getting government out of the way. The government currently controls 50% of the healthcare markets in the United States. That means when the government sneezes, everybody else catches pneumonia. It's wild. We got to overturn Obamacare, let free markets and private enterprise take over healthcare. Let the decisions be made between doctors and patients, not some bureaucrat in Washington.
Thank you.
Do you know that the United States of America is a republic and not a democracy? Could you explain to us the difference between the two?
So we are a representative government and a republic. So hopefully the voters will send me to Washington to represent them. Not everybody in the United States gets to vote on laws in Washington. For the most part, the system works. I mean, we can't have every voter voting on every law. It's just not feasible. Sadly, though, there are some drawbacks to the system because we have career politicians. It's a representative government, right?
Correct.
Correct.
They don't represent me anymore. They represent their self-interests. They have put self-interest over national interests and secrecy over transparency. And that's the kind of behavior that needs to end. Our forefathers would be turning over in their graves if they saw what was going on in Washington today and what career politicians have done to Washington.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer.
Are you a member of any, however you would define it, elite special interest group? Are you affiliated with the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, or Bilderberg Group, or anything of that nature?
No, I am a member of one elite special interest group, the NRA. And I believe in my right to keep and bear arms. The NRA is a special interest group, and I'm proud to be a member of it.
Good, thank you for that answer. Did you know that politicians in history have created a legal constitution of the United States of America for the corporation and not the country, and that they're using it to replace the lawful constitution for the United States of America? Are you familiar with that concept?
Well, I know that currently career politicians have made a mess of our Constitution, okay? And what's happened in Washington is people go up there, and the bottom line, my opponent, Kenny Marchant, went to Washington. His net worth went from $25 to $50 million, okay? He won't explain how his net worth went from 25 to 50 million. And don't get me wrong, I love everyone to be very, very wealthy, and I wish everyone could double their net worth in a 2-year period that was during the worst economic crisis in American history. He won't explain how he did it. One of the ways I think how politicians do that is because they've rigged the system that the laws that they live by are not the same laws that we live by. And they go and manipulate the Constitution or don't even live by it when they go to represent us in Washington. That's what's caused us the mess that we're in.
Thank you.
Thank you. What is your thought on the Second Amendment of the Constitution? Some of it we've discussed already. And why do you think the founders, the founding fathers of our country who formed those documents and included that in the Bill of Rights were so adamant to include it in the founding documents?
Well, you all know the line is, freedom of speech. The Second Amendment is there to protect that, right? It is key to everything. I mean, it is our own right to protect our pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. An interesting story yesterday, I'm out walking a neighborhood, and it was a nice neighborhood in northwest Dallas, part of District 24, and a woman said, as I knocked on the door, she said, be careful, she says, as you're knocking on doors, there's been some carjackings in the neighborhood, so people are hesitant to open the doors. So I said, okay, well, thank you for that. Now, I have a concealed handgun license. So I quickly proceeded to walk down to my car and get out of my glove compartment, my little 9mm, and I put it in my pocket, and I continued to walk and knock on doors with a concealed handgun on me, because it was to protect my freedom of speech to go and knock on doors and hope to get people to vote for me and tell them about what I think is wrong with this country, and most importantly, hear what they think is wrong with this country. But it's a little story about how that works and how it works in everyday life. I mean, here she says her neighborhood, a nice neighborhood, they're being terrorized by carjackers. How scary would that be? They need, if they would like to be able to carry a weapon to protect themselves, just as I did that day.
Thank you.
One question, will you take an oath not to be co-opted in Washington? I know it's a loaded question, but a lot of what we want to find out is how stern people will be once in office.
Here's the sad part is, you guys have probably been doing this for a while. The fact that you need to get a politician to take an oath that he won't be corrupted in Washington is ridiculous. I don't need to take an oath to tell you that. You ask the people around me, you go up there and you be who you are, and you be a principled leader, and you stand firm for your convictions. And the Bible and the Constitution should dictate all of your actions. The fact that you need to sign an oath for that, it is very, very sad that someone would need to sign an oath for that. Would I sign it? I've almost said I was going to take a pledge not to sign any pledges, because there's pledges, you know, everywhere. I don't think we should need to send leaders to sign a pledge for that. Of course, I sign it because I'm not gonna go against it. But the bottom line is, if an elected leader does go against it, you need to send them packing. Kenny Marchant, my opponent, secured a $2.4 million earmark for a company the man held stock in. If you ask me, that's corrupted. Maybe we should have asked him to sign that oath when he first took office. It's sad too many politicians need to sign that oath. You won't have to worry about that with me.
Thank you.